Dr. Horton has moved, Dr. Crosno has seconded to approve the minutes. All in favor? Any opposition? Sorry. Now we'll move into old business. Dr. Benny Barron, the Rocket House update, and this is exciting, Dr. Barron.
Well, thank you. I'm very happy to be here and to give a good report. Let me start back a little bit, quickly catch us up to where we are now and tell you the status as of today. The reason this becomes a nice history, we had a big concern about moving the house, if you recall. We were going to move it about 60 feet south, then about 50 feet back towards the west. And in order to do as much as we can to get it away from the river, we were trying to get up as much as 8 or 9 feet above the level of the water. So we're going to move it back. That was our plan. But we worried what would happen when we made the move. We got all the walls that are bouchards. Of course, too much stress, it could come out. And there are no nails in the building. Everything is mortise, tendon, or wooden pegs to hold the building together. So we got the movers here, got inside, and we clapped the building, which meant they took all the walls and put like a sandwich, outside, inside, and screwed them all together. So if the tarp was not on the building now, and you could see all the walls, all you'd see would be plywood, inside and outside, to hold the building intact. Then we got ready to move it, took big straps and all the way around the building to make sure that once we started up the building, it didn't move out like this. Because we have no roof, and the rafters and the roof holding the walls together. So we went through all worrying about that. We got the movers in, we dug it out of the dirt that it was buried in, and we didn't know the full status of all those beams I'll tell you about in just a moment. Dug them all out, jacked it up, put on I-beams, and we got up in the air, we discovered what we anticipated, that the corners, if you're standing in front of the building and looked at the building, each corner had dropped into the riverbed.
Oh.
Now, we all tend to forget. Someone said, man, this is going to be great. You do it on the bank of the river. I said, no, we're doing nothing on the banks of the river. That's up at Front Street. We're down in the riverbed. And the riverbed story gets a little worse in just a moment. So we got the building up and looked down, and the middle of the building was about 10 inches above the two corners. In other words, it had a big oxbow like this into it. So we got it up in the air, and we really worried that we moved that, we were going to lose all the walls and they're going to pop because it's going to come back to being plumb across the bottom. So we were supposed to move it on Thursday. We all got down there about 4 o'clock on Wednesday and said, well, since there's nobody down here watching us, it will be tomorrow, let's level this thing down. So if it pops apart, we won't have it on pictures and stuff. Lower it down, it was down perfect. So absolutely straight, no problem. Then we had to get it on a 18-wheeler bed and move it up the river and turn it sharp and move it this way. Now we're putting it on foundation. We have 4 foundations will be under that building. We start out trying to dig the first one at 3 feet deep. Now if you recall on the stage downtown, they drove pilings under that stage. And so many of them, they were loosening the pavers on Front Street. But that is to get deep enough to get past the riverbed sediment so it would not sink. From 1967 to the other day when we moved it, it had sunk about 12 inches on each corner. Well, that'd be pretty bad for our building. It'd be around here long years, so we worried about it. We dug down there to put the first concrete. As we dug, we dig a shovel full, moved, and it filled with water. We went on days and days. It could not dig fast enough to keep the water out. So the water is coming up out of the riverbed at the water table up to where we were trying to put in a concrete foundation. We called people out of New Orleans. We called engineers over here, and they said, oh, that's no big problem. Just go in there and do so-and-so. You don't understand. We dig down a foot. We got a foot of water left. We come back the next day. We can't get rid of the water, and you can't pour concrete there. So some engineer finally figured out what they call a concrete slab, they call it. Not a foundation like you're used to seeing under houses. But we had to dig it and pour it very quickly so it was set up. So we did that with a big old boom truck, poured it in there, it's set up. Happy times. Then we had to come back and put another foundation on top of that to hold the next foundation. So we ended up putting the bottom slab, put a foundation on top of that, then a concrete foundation on top. We're going to have enough concrete on that rock house for 2 or 3 different buildings, but you're not going to see any of it. Right now, when you look at the rock house, it's sitting about 34 inches off the ground, the bottom of the beam. Problem we ran into is when we dug out the beams to move the house out of the mud, Well, we thought there'd be just a little repair work on 2 different beams. Every beam has a damaged part. We've got to replace about half the beams under the house. Now the fun starts. We got to have sinker cypress beams to go under the house. And we can't have mill cut, because think how bad that would look if we had a mill cut, saw cut of a beam, a house 220 years old. Won't work. We have to have axe cuts to them. So we have looked and looked and looked, and about to give up. And about 2 weeks ago, we found a company in South Louisiana that can get us some cypress sinker beams, but it takes 6 weeks for them to come in. But we get them in. That's not the problem. If you look at the house, we're sitting on blocks, 34, 32, 33 inches, 4 inches off the ground, and the blocks are on those concrete beams. Well, the idea is to set the rock house down on cypress blocks. So when you really look at it later, it looks like it's sitting on cypress blocks. We got the cypress, got them all cut, they're ready to go. They'll sit on the concrete. Then we'll feather dirt and things above it, so when you see the rock house, it looks like it's sitting on ground. It's really going to be on concrete. We hide in the concrete. The problem is, we got it 32, 34 inches off the ground. Now imagine for a moment, a house is sitting on beams right now. The beams are jacked up in the air. Now when you say post on beam, think about how you attach the post to the beam. We can't use nails. You can't just set it up there and fall off. Well, the way they did it, if you get down there and could look at it, the people that built it, Cali, when he built the house, his friends, would cut a mortise tendon into the beam about 4 or 5 inches, take the end of the post and stick it down in the beam, then run a wooden peg from the side to hold it. That's how we have to replace it. Now imagine for a moment, who's going to hold up that house while we take the beam out from underneath it? The beam's holding up the house. They're here, the house is here. We got to take this out, the whole house sits on that. Now we haven't figured that out yet. Now we'll figure it out, but I think it's going to be a 3-ring circus. We think we have to leave it up that high, get under it, put cross horizontal beams all on the floor rafters, and they're all tied into those side beams with wooden pegs. We got to ease those out, put the rafters up, and jack under it, and go from the floor to the ceiling to hold that up, then jack the whole thing up one side at a time to drop the beam out, put it in place, and put the roof come back. We think that's going to happen. That's just one of the things we're playing with, but we'll solve it. Everything, people's status right now, everything's going great, really is. It's taking a little time. We had to slow down a little bit. I was telling Rebecca a few moments ago, you run into things like the shingles. The shingles. We ran into a company that had, we got natural wood shingles. Well, how long will they last? About 7 or 8 years and they'll rot out. Can you imagine? Building this house in 7 or 8 years, the roof will be rotten. So we said, that's really not good. So we looked and looked. We found synthetic shingles that look exactly the same. You can tell the difference. They're guaranteed to last 40 years. Now we're getting somewhere. Right now, the status is we poured all the retaining wall. And if you go down there, you would realize then, when we say retaining wall, we got to hold that old wall of dirt back. And when that is about 4 or 5 feet up, coming against that concrete, and people, when it gets wet, it doubles in weight. So you have what we had to build, what you call French dead men about it, to hold back so it won't sag back out like a wrong river. You see your dock wall come out like that. That's what's happening. So that's where we are right now. Right now, we anticipate finishing it 1st of September. Now, I think that's wishful thinking. I think probably aim about the end of September, right around October the 1st. Talked to Jill yesterday, and we're not interfering with any events. She's carefully holding off, making sure now our drop dead date to finish is November the 1st to get off that riverbank. But we're all working with Jill. We're all working together. They work every day down there they can. I went down there a while ago just for the fun of it in my old clothes because it's all mud. It's a mud pie down there. You can't work in there because where the riverbank's set, every time you have a hole, it's full of water. And it doesn't dry out like it does out here. So that's where we are now. We're excited. The landscape architect has started from there towards the end to finish up the riverbank. And people, you run this stuff like irrigation system. It has a 3-inch line down the riverbank. The promenade is going on the riverbank. We can't replace that line. Where are you going to move it? Close to the river? Can't do it there. We should move it under those oak trees. We're not even talking about digging a hole under those oak trees, so we're not going there. So best we could is to abandon all the old irrigation system that went from river up, then to go from top of the river down, and then we can get away from everything. The only problem there is we've got to figure out how to get the water and the fountain from the bottom up to the top because it repeats itself. That same water goes over and over. So we're playing with that. It's been so much fun trying to solve. We have dug up lines on that river bank no one ever knew of. We put a transformer, we didn't, but the city in the wrong place. We had to move it 3 times now to get it away from the retaining wall. It's too close. So we're having to worry with water drainage on the riverbed, but it's all going to be solved. And I promise you, when we finish, you're going to be so proud of that. It's going to be a picture to behold. Now, right now, we got it covered up with a tarp. We're trying to protect all those walls as much as we can, so we keep tarp all around it. We haven't taken off the plywood to see if those walls were hurt when we moved it. But I anticipate redoing all the walls. And the main reason, the bottom 2 feet of all the walls are full of bore bees holes. It's like a sieve in there. And all we can do there is take it out and replace it. Now, our work crew down there has all gone to the Bouchard School. It's taught out here for them, and they can all do it. So we're ready to go. So when we take this plywood off, we're going to be real careful to save as much of the Bouchards as we can. Eddie Verquez, who's an antiques expert for Tipton Associates up all the time, he anticipates that when we finish, every wall in that house will be Bouchard, and every wall in that house will be exposed to the air. You go down and see every one of them. None will be covered up. Outside walls, inside walls. As far as he can say, it's the only house he knows of that in Louisiana, every Bouchard wall is for the people to see. So that's where we're going.
Exciting. It really is.
It's going to look great, I promise you.
Thank you so very
Now,
much.
I'm glad to answer questions, but I'll shut talking. I can talk for hours, but I won't. But I'll be glad to answer any question.
Like that.
Say that.
I said our guests may not like you to talk for
That's what
them.
I'm thinking too. But if you have a question, either now or later, we'll be happy to answer it for you.
Sure. Does anybody have a question that you would like to ask of Dr. Barron? He's been very thorough. Thank you.
Let me answer for you. We went back and in the middle of all the inflation and all supply chains and all this going on, you have trouble anticipating cost. Everybody's doing it.
Yeah.
Our projection that we made some 18 months ago, as of, well, this weekend, while we calculated, we're exactly to the dollar where we said we would be.
Good.
So
don't
our
hear
completion's
that
not going to be a problem.
Thank you, Dr. Barron,
Okie
so
dokie.
much. Really appreciate it. Rebecca. Agenda item 2.2, Historic District Development Commission. Rebecca Blankenbaker is the executive director of that organization, and she's going to give us an update on a couple of projects.
Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here and to have the opportunity to share additional good news happening in the Historic District. The first update I'd like to give is on the Natchitoches in Bloom art project. I was here a few months ago where we introduced this project. It's a partnership project with the Northwestern State University Creative and Performing Arts School and the Historic District Development Commission and the Cane River National Heritage Area. And it's an effort to bring public art to the historic district in the form of sculptures, metal sculptures. The sculptures were picked as native flora or flora being notable to the historic district or to Natchitoches in the Cane River region. And we chose 4 as we launched this project: the tulip, the Louisiana iris, the zinnia, and the magnolia. Each of these have some significance to either Cane River, Natchitoches, or women in Natchitoches. And we let out a call for artists to give us their input and to have drawings and artwork added to these tulips. And I'm happy to report that we made our final selections on those artists. The first is the tulip. Ethan McManus, an NSU alum and an Alexandria native. He was chosen for his art, and it pays homage not only to Blooming on the Bricks and the Tulip Festival, but also the City of Lights. If you can see there, the lights are in the tulip petals. This sculpture is set to be put in near the circle on Front Street in downtown Natchitoches. We are waiting on some traffic confirmations from DOTD. This is the one sculpture where its final placement is still up in the air, and that's strictly due to traffic concerns. And so we will keep you monitored on that one. The second is the Louisiana iris. Jade Nugent's depiction was chosen. She is a native of Alexandria Pineville and also an NSU alum. She pays homage with a bunch of imagery from Louisiana and Natchitoches. You can see the meat pie, the alligator, and the stem. It was just really very thoughtfully presented. Third, you have the zinnia, which pays homage to, let me back up, the Louisiana iris is going to go in City Park. The zinnia, plans for the zinnia will be placed at the Rock House on the riverbank. It pays homage to Clementine Hunter and our traditions of downriver and the Cane River legacy. Local artist Cassie Piku was chosen for this. Her design was chosen. She's an LSMSA alum and an LSU Fine Arts alum. For our audience members, this is the final version. And the final one, the Magnolia, which will go in the Susan Harling Pocket Park off of Cypress and Pine Street. Hannah Fulton, her design was chosen. She is an NSU and a Louisiana Tech alum. She is a native of Manny, Louisiana, and it pays homage to the stained glass windows of Immaculate Conception, but also the colors are significant to Natchitoches. These artists have been notified that they receive a stipend for purchasing supplies. They will also receive an artist stipend. We believe firmly and strongly in paying our local artists for their work. We anticipate the completion of their painting of these will be done by the end of the summer, and we hope to have these all installed by the end of September. I'm happy to.
Going on in September.
Yes. I'm happy to pause right there if you guys have any questions on that project.
It's going to be really neat, very much. Does anybody have any questions of Ms. Blankenbaker? Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
We are very proud of this project and the opportunity to not only pay homage to artists and Louisiana artwork, but also to have so many NSU, LSMSA alums and locals that are participating to honor our local artist community. So we're very excited. We hope to continue this. Our ambition is that we will add 2 sculptures each year after this initial 4, and they will all be local or native or notable flora to the region. So stay tuned.
As far as the size, and I've forgotten, we've looked at it a bunch of times, but height-wise.
So the tulip is humongous. The tulip is 6 feet tall on its own. It will sit on a 1.5 foot base. So the tulip, when I mentioned that there are some DOTD concerns, some traffic concerns, we have some concerns about where the placement of the tulip is because it is the largest sculpture. The other 3 are about 3.5 feet tall, and then once we put them on their base, they will be about 5.5 feet tall, which is a great height for folks. We anticipate putting them in planters or in beds of gardens so that we won't encourage people to climb on them, and they'll be protected.
Very good.
Thank you.
You want to go into the next
Yes.
part of your report?
So last time I was here, I also updated you. We received a grant through the Louisiana Office of Historic Preservation. It was a Hurricane Harvey grant that came from the National Park Service, and this was given to eligible communities in the state of Louisiana to help us update our historic properties inventory. We are finally moving in that process where we're boots on the ground. We have contracted with Coastal Environments, the organization who helped us complete our last inventory of the historic district in 2011, so they are very familiar with Natchitoches and Cane River. This project is strictly to just update our records. The last time we did this was in 2011, as I mentioned, and we had specific boundaries. It was bounded by the current boundaries of the landmark district and the local district. Our goal with this was to create a baseline and to understand where future or more historic properties, because we have that 50-year rule, so those properties that were not considered significant back in 2011, are there any properties that can be considered contributing to a local historic district? So we have officially begun work. They're boots on the ground. The contractors have started surveying the Texas Street corridor, so that a new section that was added to the historic district a couple of months ago. The entire survey and inventory will include, and it will be bounded on the north by Texas Street, to the south, University Parkway. East to west on the west side of the river, it will be bounded by Fronts and Jefferson Street. Where we are extending it is we are going up to North Street. Previously, we stopped at 6th Street. We are moving it up and including MLK and North Streets because we feel like there are potential properties that might have integrity and characteristics that could fit in the historic district. On the east side of the river, we are still bounded by Kaiser Avenue, by Williams Avenue on the west, and East 5th on the east. And then on the north side, Williams Avenue, doglegs up to the dam. We will survey all the way up to the dam, but just on each side of Williams Avenue until you get to Stevens Avenue. And we will survey the properties from Stevens to Scarborough, that street right behind Walgreens. So, and I want to put a caveat. We are surveying these properties so that we have a baseline, so that we know where potential historic properties exist. This does not mean that these properties will be incorporated into a historic district. That comes from you. The contractors will make recommendations and say, these properties along these streets have enough integrity that they could be extended, or we could consider an extension of a boundary of a historic district. But again, that all should come from you all, from the Historic District Commission and the city, and should include a lot of community meetings and public engagement sessions on whether or not those property owners would like to be included in the Historic District. But this gives us, members of the historic community, a baseline for what resources we have in the Historic District. Our anticipated completion of the survey is to be completed by August, with all final paperwork and documentation completed and turned in by October.
Will they assess any of the existing parts of the landmark district also?
Yes, they will. So they will update all of the 2011 survey and give us an update. So where there have been changes, where we have had a loss of integrity, or where there has been just a maintenance of integrity, they will update that.
Very good. That's a very important project for the community. Does anybody have any questions of Ms. Blankenbaker? Thank you so much.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
We'll be anxious to see what comes up in August.
Yes, it'll be a busy summer. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay. 3.2, Kirk and Jane Cordell. This is for painting, and we do have a PDF. Will the PDF download into the screens? Oh, it's upside down. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You want to come to the podium, please? Oh, they're off. He was talking about that earlier. They're crooked. They've got to be. Okay.
Hi, I am Tiffany Waters, and I live at 215 Sydney, and we are proposing that we are able to go ahead and paint the exterior portion of the house. It is in need of an update, and we have submitted our colors, and we'd just like approval.
Okay. Commission members, you have the colors?
Yes, I looked at them previously.
Okay.
I have a copy here if anybody would like to see
Okay.
that.
That might be, in the future, that might be helpful to have. Yeah. That might be a good idea to have actual samples. I mean, we can have them on the screen or on the computer, but so that the audience can see them too.
Okay.
Okay?
Here are the colors.
All right, yes. Everybody has,
I reviewed them previously.
I move to approve the application as presented.
I second.
yeah, they're not here. Okay. That's why. Okay. All right, Dr. Horton has moved to approve the application as presented. Ms. Robinson has seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition?
Thank
Okay.
you all so much.
Well, thank you. I'm glad you all came.
Have
You're
fun.
welcome to stay. Ms. Robinson reminded me that we skipped over 3.1, which we did not. There's no one here to represent the church. So hopefully they will come in. All right. 3.3, the Liddy Properties at 310 Texas.
Doug Llewellyn. I'm representing the Liddy property. We are proposing to put a fence up around the property that we have proper along 4th Street and then also across the front on Texas. I think you should have a drawing. If not, I have
Do
some
you have a
other.
written summary of what you're asking for? I see the diagrams.
I filled out the paperwork at the office. I'm not really sure.
Okay, and so, but where is it?
This is the front of.
Yeah, there you go.
Terrell's building.
There it is.
Uh-huh.
So basically, what we're proposing to do is to fence off that area along the 4th Street side from the back of the building along and across and then back up towards. I think it should be self-explanatory, but
You asked that question.
you can help me out. But
Mr.
anyways,
Llewellyn.
4th Street is what you're looking at on the left side of the screen right now. So it would come from there and back, and then come across and back towards Texas. And then there is a planter box or a sign box and everything there faces Texas. So
What
there's
is a sign box?
right there between the building on the corner of 4th Street and our property.
That's the sign for the self-storage place.
Yes,
right?
that's correct.
So you're proposing to put a fence in front of the building?
There will be a gate between the building to the left, to the sign box, a gate between the sign box and over to the canopy, right there, yes. And then the fence would run along 4th Street and back and connect to our back side of our building over there. So the only thing that would be visible would be actually the two gate sections that face Texas Street. And we're proposing to use the high-end black coated chain link, similar to what is out at the Park Natchitoches out there that Mr. Bayon's just put up out there. That's what we're proposing to do.
Are you aware that in the ordinance, it's in the ordinance itself that chain link fences are not allowed in the district?
No,
Park
ma'am.
Natchitoches is not in the district. Your property, this property is
It's in the
in the
district.
district. It's part of the new section that Ms. Blankenbaker.
Yes, ma'am, I
was-
understand that, but now I did not understand that there was no chain link.
There's no chain link in the district.
It's-
What's in the district that's chain linked, if you remove it, it can't be replaced with chain link.
Do we have a copy of the ordinance here?
Okay.
I don't think we have one
I would have liked to have known that prior to, but I didn't know that.
Pardon?
I don't have a copy of the ordinance, but I wasn't aware of this application.
You were,
I didn't know that this application.
oh, that this was
submitted.
coming up. Do you have an alternative?
So the
Not at
gates will
this
be the same
moment.
thing,
I
chain
was
link.
not aware that we could not do what we were planning on doing. So, to have an alternative, no, ma'am, I do not.
Would you like to, let's see. Ms. Oaks, is there do you know if there's a copy of the ordinance in this file?
I can definitely, grab one real quick.
Would you please? Okay. Mr. Llewellyn, let us get the ordinance, and we'll show you specifically what we're talking about.
I'm not debating that. I just wished I'd have known this before we started this particular process, when I went and made the application, but so be it. So what would be my alternative? What would be my alternative to a deterrent of parking on our property without permission as far as a barrier? What would be my alternative? What is something?
Let's pull she went to get a copy of the ordinance, and we'll show you exactly where that is.
But you can't put up something that's going to take away from the integrity of those buildings. In other words, I would be really hesitant to approve a wood fence of that magnitude around that building, because it would basically turn it into almost like a prison. That much fencing, you may want to consider the look of the front of the American Cemetery, that the wrought iron look that you see there. Actually, that's what the Catholic cemetery is considering, is taking down the chain link fence and putting up a wrought iron fence, because they have the same, they're concerned about security of the cemetery. But putting that out there on the front of Texas Street, those two gates, you want to make sure that those gates are appropriate, because you don't want to take away from those properties and the integrity that they have for being over 50 years old.
I don't disagree with that, but, okay, so if we did something like that with our two gate sections that we have here at the front, what I have problem with is we've had problems with people, individuals that will bring 18-wheeler with a lowboy and park on the 4th Street side of our property between the building and 4th Street, and park them and leave them and walk away.
Can you have them?
And that's why we're having, that's one of the biggest issues. And then we have individuals that will drive off of 4th Street and come right through that category and come right straight through the other property coming through Texas, just cutting off the corners, basically what they do.
Bollards.
Okay, so
Bollards.
I can understand the issue with the two gates facing Texas Street.
Along the ramp.
What about 4th Street?
Okay, let us,
Because we're not really facing, I know
Consider,
it's the property he does, but I
Maybe
mean, now we're not
consider this.
facing the historic district. Now we're facing 4th Street.
but your property is facing Texas Street, so it's caught in the historic district, as the property as a whole is in the district.
Okay.
Have you thought about something like Holy Cross has down on 2nd Street, where it's the poles with the chain? And it looks like that, and it goes all the way down the Bossier Street side, and it comes across the front, and they actually have a gate in front that they keep locked to keep people out of the parking lot when they're not using it on Sunday.
Are you talking about by the corner of Bossier and 2nd, across from the church, where
Yes.
the parking spot is? That's
Yes.
what you're talking about.
you
That would be
might,
less expensive and less obtrusive, but it would accomplish what you're looking for. You wouldn't hide the buildings, but it would certainly keep people off
Okay.
the property.
So we're talking about that scenario as far as facing Texas Street. What about my issue?
You could do the
along
same
4th
thing on
Street?
4th. Literally, you could have that going all the way up 4th with just the pole chain, because an 18-wheeler, if they drove over it,
Okay.
would
Well,
come all the way.
that's, I'm actually fine with that, but I'm good with that scenario.
what about signage and
All right, so,
the use of, Mr.
so
Lawal,
what we're gonna have to do is go back again.
and come up with, Ms. Oaks?
Yes. And I do want to apologize, when I told you the materials of the fence, I did not say no chain link.
All right, you have it highlighted?
Yes.
Okay, Dr. Horton, you want to read it?
Fence design must be in harmony with the nature of the district. The following fencing materials are generally acceptable: iron picket, ornamental cast iron, brick, concrete block with cement plaster coating, combinations of iron and masonry, wood picket, either flat or square, solid wood, either flat topped or capped. The following are not acceptable: barbed wire, chain link, concrete block, stockade, plywood, hardwood, or asbestos board. You can have that copy. We'll give this to you so you have the
Okay.
ordinance itself. But maybe consider just, like I'm saying, the small poles that sit maybe 4 feet off the ground with a chain, and they're all black. And you just roll those all the way through, and then like I said, the front of Holy Cross has a gate that's chained, it's part of a chain, but it's locked.
Right.
And that would keep everybody off your land.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
It would actually be a lot less expensive to do that and probably more in line with keeping at least the buildings from in vision.
Have you thought also, I like what Dr. Horton has indicated, but even even bollards, the tall metal, what would you call them, other than bollards, they're.
I know what you're talking about. We didn't get that far as, this was a project in design. Okay?
Yeah.
Well, let's work on a new design.
But I understand everything that we're talking about, and I just got to get back with Tim and see what direction that we need to go to make it go in the other way.
If you drive on campus and look around the Coliseum, it's like that there too. So that's how they use to keep people out from parking or inappropriately parking, and it's just not.
Okay, so
And
once again,
signage
so
also.
we're back at waiting another month.
Yes.
So I have to come back and reapply? Is that what I need to do?
You don't reapply, we would put you need to come back with your options, what you're considering.
Okay.
And come back, and we'll put you under old business.
Okay.
And you can be first. But that way, we'll have a chance to look at the property also and give you an opportunity to investigate your options.
Okay,
Okay?
all right,
All right.
good deal.
Thank you.
All right.
Would
What
you-
you're suggesting is approvable. That's not the question. It's just considering your options.
Well, I don't have a problem with going with Tim and getting to him to change the two gate issues, and coming up with a better
Listen.
design on the 4th Street side,
Completely.
with that. To me, that's fine. I just gotta get.
What you also may consider is just making it where those poles can be removed. So if you decided down the road you needed to get in the parking lot for your own person, you could.
Well, absolutely, because I still have to have like this one right there on that corner right there, on the 4th Street right there, because I have, the main, two doors coming in to that west side section for tenants to come and go and unload and load.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
it's
if you
just
have any, Mr. Llewellyn, if you have any questions or concerns over the next few weeks, contact Ms. Rock.
Okay.
And let her help you work through it if necessary, so that we're aware of what you're thinking, and then we would see you at our next meeting.
Okay, very
You
good.
want to table it?
We can move to table I'll offer the motion to table the application so that it can return under old business.
Is there a
Second. I'll second.
Dr. Crosno has seconded Dr. Horton's motion to table the application. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Okay. Thank you very much.
Great,
Thank you.
good deal. Thank you.
Do you want a copy of this? Would you like?
You need the ordinance. Go ahead and keep that, and that way you have it in case you're doing anything else over there.
That way I can say this is.
This is it.
This is it. Thank you very much.
No
Bye.
problem.
Okay.
See you later. Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Okay. 3.4, MacArthur and Verna Bolden, it's 422 line, paint, windows, and garage door. Okay. Do we have additional information on that?
We have,
Pictures before and after. You want to pass those around? I have Trinity.
Yeah,
Trinity is
that's-
a couple, but I don't have that. These are just pictures of before and after. What she's done.
I don't know. Do we have the application, Ms. Robb?
we do, it should be, when you scroll down.
It
Trinity
was
is
above
next.
that. I think.
Trinity is what we have next.
Yeah, this is the Boldens.
Did you pass it? Trinity was next.
That's all we have, we don't have anything after Trinity.
We don't, no, we don't, this is before Trinity.
Yeah, but we don't have
We don't
But you don't
have,
have.
We don't have,
we don't have anything.
Turned in an application. Should have been attached.
and this is
What is the address?
422 line.
See, here's the ones we've got.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, see it's skipping 3, 4, 4. It's not showing 3, 4, 4.
Okay, it's skipped, Ms. Rocket skipped 3.4, it's not.
I see that.
Okay, well, let's.
Lost somewhere in the,
Yeah, in the shuffle.
shuffle.
Ms. Bolden, if,
What are we trying to do?
So
Yeah.
on 420 Line, that was the old paint shop, the little oval shaped building, right next
That's what it looks
to where
like.
the sheriff's building is.
Substation, yeah.
That's what it looks like.
Hmm?
Next to the daycare?
Next
Yeah.
to the daycare.
oh, is
That's what
it the
looks like.
metal building?
Yes, it's the metal
Oh,
building.
okay.
Oh, okay, all right. Do we have an application for it?
We do have an
Yeah,
application, I'm
we
not
do.
sure why it's not
Okay,
here.
well,
was
you all have been
lost-
very
lost somewhere
patient.
in-
That's okay.
Yeah, so they're doing minor repairs and paint.
What are they?
And windows and a
And
garage
windows.
door.
So the garage door was changed.
Well, we didn't change it
You
yet.
didn't change it
I
yet?
put a
Okay.
before picture, but we don't have an after
Okay,
picture yet.
Ms. Robinson, you saw that. Wasn't this a mechanic shop?
It
or-
was a
Yes,
mechanic shop.
okay.
It was a
body
paint
shop.
And do we have any information on it as far as when it was constructed or?
From what I can understand from looking at yeah, it said probably 1947 that it was built, and it looked like it when we got it. It looked like it was still there.
And tell us your plans, please, and your colors. Do we have anything with color?
Yes, I've shown you a before and after. It was original, and good afternoon, Verna and MacArthur Bolden.
We're glad to have you.
Thank you so much. We stumbled into the historic district. We had no idea when we purchased this building at the sheriff's sale that it was in the historic district, but it's our pleasure to beautify that corner because it's an amazing building. Very unique, very amazing to work on. And so it's already starting to take shape. It's already been painted the original color, which is white. We're basically replacing all the windows. There were no windows, there's just wood and plywood in the front windows. You can see the picture there, that's still there. We haven't replaced those windows yet. The windows have to be replaced there. On the sides of the building, you can see pictures of the rotted, I gave you before pictures of the rotted insides of the windows. We didn't do anything with those except sand those down and replace the panes. So it's still the original windows using the same size glass. So we painted the building and replaced the window panes. We also added their garage doors for bringing cars in and out in that back. And we replaced that with, you'll see the French doors there.
Saw those, yeah.
And on the other side is a roll-up garage door as well, and we're replacing that with a matching French door. And then we're just going to put French door windows.
That faces what?
That faces the sheriff's station, the substation, so it's in the back of the
That
building,
part.
on the Fifth Street side.
And you're maintaining the glass cube?
Yes, we had that cleaned. They had it painted black, but we had someone come in and clean it, so it's ready to go. Now, the
don't-
front of it is a little damaged, so we're just going to put a planter box in the front, and as we beautify the front of the building, to keep the block windows there.
You don't see those much
No,
anymore at
no, you
all,
don't.
So that's wonderful that
Yeah.
you're taking care of them.
Yeah.
All right, windows, garage door, paint. And what will you be using it for? What is the,
It'll be a residence.
oh,
Yeah.
how neat. That's neat. Oh, there, look.
Yep, there we are.
Oh, I see. It's a lot easier to see.
That's the way it looked now.
It is painted. It looks so much better than it
Well,
did.
it's wonderful that you're restoring it.
Yeah.
That you're certainly contributing to the integrity of the district. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And then the yard, we're going to beautify that, just kind of keep it like it is, but put grass front,
Any
concrete where needed to build it back up, to restore it to where it was.
So the application is for approval to,
For living, for residential.
but as far as the paint color and any other,
part of what you're doing, you need to have approval for that.
Okay.
So it was for painting and then, just
The doors and
doors,
windows.
The garage doors and the windows. They're keeping everything the same. They just wanted to let you know what they were doing with the paint.
So with the windows you're replacing, are you replacing them with the same type of windows?
Well,
Just the panes.
We,
No, it says
hold
windows
on,
on
hold
I'm
on.
sorry.
The two big windows on that picture right there, we don't have any idea what the windows looked like because it was like that when we purchased it. So we've got windows to match that size, and that's what we're going to put in.
So,
With the paint, the ones that you uncovered, that you painted, you uncovered?
These were black.
those were the
Right,
cube.
so.
The block windows?
Do they have to replace with that type of window, or could they do
No,
it
they'll,
different?
no.
They can do it
this-
different?
They're
no,
keeping this.
They're keeping
Keeping
this.
those. Okay, so with the windows that are gone, correct? You have no windows, there's some places where you have no windows?
Just the two front ones right there.
So what kind of windows are you going to put there?
The same windows in the back, except they won't be French doors, they'll be windows. They'll look just like the
So-
ones,
So many
Like these?
panes.
yes,
Okay.
just like that, yeah.
that's- Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
so you're gonna use the cube window?
No,
No.
the French doors in the back, we're going to have the same kind of windows in the front and on the side.
And what is this? What,
I think that was
Exactly.
the old windows.
Okay, now we're talking about, now what you're looking at are window panes. Those are just the panes that were broken,
replaced.
damaged. We replaced those panes. Kept the windows, but just replaced the panes.
okay.
So the only windows we replaced are the ones where there's openings for windows, but there are no windows there.
Okay.
But you've already done it.
I'm sorry.
You've already completed it.
No, we have
You
not.
have not
It still looks,
installed.
yeah, it looks
Okay,
like that.
so-
Yeah.
So the question is, what kind of windows are you going to replace?
Okay, when you look at the French doors, the windows are going to look just like the French doors, but they will be windows. The French door on the building, I think you have a picture of the French door.
Would you mind coming
I
up
sure
here?
will.
I don't see a French
Yeah, I don't see
Yeah.
the French door.
Oh, okay, I thought I gave you the right pictures.
Well, you,
These are the ones we have.
what is this?
Okay, this is just showing the old panes that we
They were
replaced.
broken.
And all of this, it will be replaced inside, but I showed you from the inside.
Okay.
And you should have a picture of
And then the
French-
garage door stays
And the
same.
garage door, not that one, that's
This
just
is the
gonna be
garage door.
replaced. Yeah, that's a before. Maybe I haven't left it over there. That's not right there. I apologize. Oh, here it is.
No,
Here's the French
oh,
door. Okay,
Okay,
that's,
so
so the window will look just like that in the front, except it's gonna be, it's just a window. instead
more
of a French-
panes,
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, but it'll be the same integrity, it'll have the same.
like 6 or
thing.
8 panes.
Right, right. But it's a huge window.
Yeah,
These are
it's
big
big.
windows, so it's gonna be the same.
Do you think originally that they may have used the cube glass in these?
No, they
As
were
they
not.
get over here?
No, because it would still have some, you
Some
can
remnants
tell
of
it's
it.
not,
Remnants
yeah.
of it.
This is all framed in for windows, you can tell inside and out. This does not have a frame inside or out. It was just huge.
To this conversation, just because I know, because I looked at this building, your two windows in the front, would have originally just been big windows.
That's what I
They
saw.
wouldn't have had any panes. They would have just been.
Oh, you mean like
Big
picture
big
window?
Picture windows. Okay, that's what I was thinking. So
And
you,
this is probably a later, like 1980s edition, and she's keeping, which is fine, because give it a couple of years.
So are you suggesting that she goes back to the plane instead of the?
I'm just saying that originally it would have been just a big picture. It's whatever you all decide, whatever is in the records. I imagine that it's
I think that's a good
It's pretty
suggestion.
big, it's pretty challenging to find something to fit in these spaces.
Because if you use something similar to this, that's gonna make an entirely different choice.
But there's nothing there that tells us what it looked like.
But she was just saying it probably was just a plain, so.
Well, we just wanted to keep the same footprint that we
They had it
saw.
in the inventory, the old inventory that was made.
it was not in
Years ago,
the
it wasn't part of it.
It
so.
wasn't.
And a
No, ma'am,
lot of
no,
the
ma'am.
buildings around there are like that.
No idea when the building was built.
Okay.
Or you have nothing to document it, so.
No, I think you said you thought it was built in.
Well,
About 1945,
Well,
1947.
if you place windows like this in there, it's gonna be an improvement.
Exactly.
All right, We've got the windows, we've got the doors, and we have the
And then
paint.
this right here is another garage door, and you can see it from the side.
Now, the garage door is gonna be replaced, is that?
You've got 3 garage doors. That garage door is gonna look just like this one, because there it is right there. So it'll be side by side, same size. And this right here is this. This door right here.
I just
That's a
know,
door.
like, if I
That
stay
we
sitting
bought
down
for
too
I
much.
am so glad you did.
So you're going to
And
do
this
the
is what
French
it
door?
looks like from the inside. We're gonna do the same thing, this right here, but it won't be doors. It'll look like that, but it'll be a window.
The painted windows in the front.
So it'll be consistent all around, yeah.
That was the concern, they would have a consistency.
Yeah, it'll be consistent all around. And even, there's a little window at the top
Where is
of the
that?
next door. That's the
Why
garage.
is it every
We're
time
gonna
I try to
replace
go
that with the same kind of door that opens, but it'll just be a new one.
on my leg lock.
So is this going to be a single
Something gotta be
family
wrong.
or
I ain't making it up.
apartment, whatever we want to do?
Where it needs, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be good.
It's gonna be, it's really neat. Okay, Commissioners. Let's, we're well,
And windows.
we're approving the,
Well, the paint has already been painted.
yeah. Some of it will have, you still have some painting to do,
Some
correct?
touch-ups, yes, because we're
Okay.
replacing the gutters, and so there'll be some touch-up paints.
Do we need to know the colors?
It's white.
Will all be white?
It was always white, yeah.
All right, and we
So it's
understand
really-
about the windows. She explains that to
And
us.
then the door, the French
The
doors.
French doors, and what else?
That's it, I
I
guess.
think, okay. The chair requests a motion to approve.
Thank you.
As presented.
I move to approve as presented.
Dr. Horton has moved to approve the application as presented. Is there a
Second.
Ms. Robinson has seconded. Any further discussion or concerns? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very
Thank you.
Yeah.
And
Good
if you
luck.
need something, Ms. Bolden, please contact the Historic District Commission office and we'll work with you. A check, yes. Ask Dr. Horton, he keeps the Yeah. All right, thank you, and thank you for your patience.
We're leaving the pictures.
Oh, good, yes, we'll have a
Yeah,
whole
we need those in the
file.
file.
We'll have a whole file for you. Thank you so much. Sure. Trinity Episcopal Church, 533 Second Street, minor repair and paint, and there are supporting documents. Donna, is it Yako?
Yako,
Yako?
hi.
Hi.
Thank you for having us tonight. I'm Donna Yakos, my husband Peter Yako. We are members of Trinity Episcopal Church and representing the church tonight in the application to restore our bell tower, our 1857 bell tower. The church and the bell tower were built at that time, and over the years, we've taken care of it as we can, and at this point in time, the bell tower needs the most attention. So we had some dust and debris inside the bell tower and needed to find out why that was occurring, because it is enclosed now. At the time it was built, there were louvers at where the top windows are. There were louvers because it was open. But when the church was air-conditioned, windows were put in, the louvers, of course, were taken out, and the roof was put on it. So it is, of course, connected to the church by a door, and many of you may have gone into the bell tower on different tours where we have the church open. And we want to continue to be able to use it. The 1857 bell is still there. Very proud of it. So when the dust and debris started falling, we contacted our insurance company. They had a forensic engineer come and do an inspection, and we also had people from the National Center for Preservation Technology come. They looked. We had other contractors at the same time, actually got a man lift, the insurance company did, to do the wonderful photos that you see and really inspect to see what was wrong. And I guess the primary thing is age, but also a secondary thing is there apparently was an incompatible mortar put in during one of the projects in the past. And I know from reading some of the materials from the Historic District Commission that that's not uncommon, unfortunately, but it does need to be addressed, that the defective mortar needs to be replaced, and there are some spalling bricks that are spalled, and those need to be repaired or replaced. The windows, as you can see, have been quite worn. It's been quite some time since they have been painted, and so the windows need to be restored as well. We were fortunate, we applied for a grant through the Cane River National Heritage Area and received some funding to help with the planning and project. We also got a little bit of money from our insurance agency and our diocese. The Episcopal Diocese of Western Louisiana is helping with the funding for the project. So really, the project is to repair defective mortar and brick and repair the windows. The first part of the project will be making sure the windows, they will seal the windows, remove all the old caulk and seal them so that when the building, the bell tower is power washed, we won't get any water into the interior of the bell tower.
And did the National Center say anything about power washing the brick?
We just actually received our Section 106 approval today from the state, from the Historic Preservation Office, and they did mention, they approve it. They do give recommendations for the amount of pressure to be used, so that will be given to our contractor.
Yeah.
And our contractor, Thomas and Parker out of Shreveport, they've power washed, cleaned, done mortar work on a lot of historic buildings, so they're familiar with the proper detergents to use and the proper pressure and all that.
That's so important. And
yes.
at one time, it wasn't allowed at all.
Right.
Now they have sort of eliminated some of the restrictions, but just be sure your contractor is very careful that the brick dust, we've had that at our home, the brick dust and the mortar will just absolutely crumble, so.
Right.
And it sounds like you've got everything
Yeah,
covered.
they actually did a big project on the Catholic Church several years ago.
They've done the First Baptist Church across the street. They've done many buildings on the NSU campus. So we feel very confident.
George Minturn is a member of our church, and he's the one that recommended Thomas and Parker.
Yeah.
Good.
So we feel very comfortable with them. We've had a pre-project meeting this last week with them. We hope to have the project start within a week or two because we want it to be done this summer while our little ones at our preschool are not on campus. And so Russell Bagwell, who's with Thomas and Parker, says should be 8 weeks, and hopefully we'll all be done by the time the preschool starts again. As I mentioned, we did get the approval from the state through a Section 106 application today. I don't have a chip of the color of the paint, but our contractor was able to get one, and he will be matching the same color that is on the windows. And he has already sent some mortar off to match with, I believe it goes to Cathedral Stone in Boston, and they will be doing the same, the mortar and the brick as well.
And I'm sure the National Center also must have given you some guidance on
They have.
the mortar,
Yes. Yes. And they've actually already specified the type of mortar that should be used. If you look when you are maybe walking by the bell tower, we've been here 10, 12 years, and I never noticed that difference in color on a couple of walls of the bell tower. Apparently, they ran out of one color brick on two walls, and you'll see there's two distinct colors on two sides of the bell tower. So it's going to be a little bit of a challenge to match everything in every place with the age and the difference in the color of the brick. But as we said, Thomas and Parker are quite experienced in it. And so are there any questions about?
Looks like you've developed a wonderful textbook for what to do and what not to do. So.
Well, we were very fortunate to have the insurance company pay for the forensic engineering study that we could never have paid for what we received from them. Very detailed report with wonderful photos showing the good, the bad, and the ugly. The good is it's plum, which is wonderful. When I hear Benny talk about the Rock House, I'm like, oh, I think
It's gonna be-
we're okay.
And we're very fortunate to have George as a member of our church.
Yes.
Sure.
And we do have, there's a couple of drainage issues that we're working on where the bell tower meets the church, trying to make sure it keeps, water gets in the gutter and stays in the gutter. So step by step, we're working on that to prevent any problems with settling or anything like that.
Don't want that.
Ma'am?
And from
I
the
said you
looks of
don't
the
want that.
pictures, the up-close shots that you have in your packet, it looks like you're doing it just in time before some really serious
Yes.
damage could be done to the building.
Well, we think so, and that's why we were
If
very
you
anxious
can't
to,
see
we
it up
searched
close,
for
you
funding for it and we've been working on it for over a year now.
And my understanding, about every 30 years, you need to do something, and
Yeah.
the last time we did something was in the 70s, so.
You're pretty close, but it is overdue.
Now, one of the items that the contractor recommends is a water repellent, which is not a sealer like they used to
Right.
use, but a water repellent. And the state did have a note about that in our 106 letter, so we will be considering that with the...
And they did give you approval through the 106 for the water.
Yeah, and it will help protect any, further deterioration.
Sure.
And, he said our bell tower actually was in much better shape than is it the Co-Cathedral? What is the Immaculate Conception? That it was much better shape than when he did their project. So I just thought, okay, we need to get it done before ours gets in that shape.
Well, thank you. Your application is
I'll move to
very
approve the
thorough.
application as presented.
Dr. Harton has moved. The application is presented. Ms. Robinson has seconded. Any further discussion, concerns? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition?
Thank
Thank
y'all.
you.
Okay. Thank you
very
for your
much.
patience, too. We'll be interested in seeing how this progresses.
Well, everybody will want us to hurry and do the main part of the church after the bell tower.
Oh, God.
One thing calls for another.
That's exactly right. Never finished.
No.
Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you so much. Ms. Rock, do we have any other new business other
No,
than the-
ma'am, not at this time.
Okay.
Chairman Hagan, application 3.1 was a ratified.
It's for the foundation?
Yeah, it's just for the repair. It's not.
Oh,
for
that was what,
anything
yeah.
else.
Did you hear anything from the church? They were supposed to be.
I talked to Mayor Posey today, and he was saying that someone was supposed to be here. And I explained to him that they were gonna talk about whatever it is they wanna
The
do.
rest of the.
with
Because that's
the
what they
church.
told me when I met with them as well.
Yeah, and when I talked with him as well.
I mean, I will move to ratify the foundation repair
Yeah.
because I was the one that did on site.
That's all the application is for.
That's all it's for?
Just that, just the
Then I will
foundation.
move to ratify 3.1.
Is there a motion, is there a second to Dr. Horton's motion?
I have a question. I don't know anything
Uh,
about
Yeah,
it.
because it doesn't say.
What
does it say?
It
It's
says
just
that-
foundation repair. It's leveling the foundation of the house.
the
before
house.
We
it's
have
done.
a, well,
Of the
y'all, wait just a
church.
minute. We
No,
have
that's
a
Ethel
motion.
Robo's house.
We have a motion on the floor. Is there a second, Dr. Crosland?
Awesome.
Okay, discussion.
It's the house. It's Ethel Robo's house. They're
So-
leveling the foundation of the house so they can begin restoration.
And they could get the contractor in in the middle of the month, and Dr. Horton and Ms. Rock and I approved that.
Okay.
There was a sort of a misunderstanding because of what's on the side of the trailer. It says house moving. So I did get a couple of phone calls.
I
about,
did too.
Was it going to be moved? I said,
No, it's
"Okay."
just, it's leveling out the
Yeah.
foundation.
All right.
But-
Is
So
there-
they'll just jack it up and put whatever they need to under it.
They've been working on the foundation.
Because the front porch is concrete, so.
But on this thing, the check, it says new construction, extensive renovation, and or repair of existing
Well,
structures.
somebody
repair
was
of the
supposed to
existing
be here.
structure.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's-
For that, so that was supposed to be a discussion.
yeah. All right.
Oh,
So there's a.
that'll be later.
Yeah, they're supposed to bring
So
a
all
whole
we're doing is ratifying the work on
approval of the
foundation.
foundation.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
No problem.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Okay. Thank you, Ms. Oaks. All right. Anything else?
No,
I
ma'am.
move to adjourn.
Dr. Crosno has moved to adjourn. Ms. Robinson has seconded. All in favor? Aye. Any opposition? Okay. Whew.
Yeah.
That was a good marathon meeting.
Well, we haven't had one like